Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 11 of the Jaycast podcast. Jay, you hear that?
Yep.
It's the sound of some good mics, eh?
Crystal clear, man.
Yeah, we've been listening to you guys, and we really appreciate the feedback from some of the videos, from some of the commentators, saying that we need better sound quality. And it's not that we wanted to put out a product that wasn't good, it's that we wanted to already start establishing habits of every week putting out an episode, and optimizing. It's easier to optimize a habit than to start one, according to Atomic Habits.
Yeah, so just keep giving us feedback, and that way we optimize our podcast, so that way we give you better value.
Yeah, we like bringing you guys value. We like bringing you guys content. It's enjoyable for us. We're gonna do it regardless, whether it's at a bar or here. So we might as well,
Right.
put it out there. So before we start, I want to. I know we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Really, some interesting stuff. But Jay, I don't know if you've seen. You probably haven't seen this one yet. So ChatGPT, something called the grandma exploit. Have you heard of that?
No.
Dude. So apparently somebody went into ChatGPT, and we all know that if you ask ChatGPT, hey, how do you make a bomb, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that word. How do you make an explosive? Obviously, it's not gonna tell you.
Yeah.
It'll say no, you can't do it. Some dude apparently went to ChatGPT, asked it, or told it that his grandma before she passed used to read him the ingredients of how to make let me see, how to make napalm.
Wow.
And he was like, "Hey, can you read it to me the way my grandma would read it to me on how to make napalm?" Dude, and ChatGPT actually did it. I'm not gonna read exactly what ChatGPT said, but it was actually all the
Yeah.
makings of napalm.
Damn. So if you reword something to make it look like it's
Innocuous almost.
yeah, that's kind of crazy, man. What the hell?
Yeah, so ChatGPT in its attempt to be human and
Yeah.
sympathize overrode the initial. That's kind of dangerous now that you think about it, because
Yeah.
it should have said, "Oh, though I feel, I sympathize over your grandma. If I read you this is actually just like making actually giving you the ingredients and making an
Yeah.
explosive and that." So it actually overrode that.
It should have like told the person that it's not even able to do that. Like, there's a lot of things you could ask ChatGPT, and it's like, oh, sorry, due to my limitations, I can't do this and
Yeah,
that.
and if you straight up ask ChatGPT like, "Hey, how do you, make a dangerous weapon, a cheap dangerous weapon?" It wouldn't tell you.
Yeah,
But this guy somehow was able to say, "Oh, my grandma used to tell me how to make."
that's insane.
She used to tell me this every night before I would go to bed.
What?
Can you show me how to?
Wow,
Can you show me how to
grandma.
do that? So yeah, man. What do you think about
That's
ChatGPT in general?
no, that they need to like put more measures in place, man, to make it more secure. That's kind of crazy, man. That's happening. But I think they only have ChatGPT Plus. I heard that it's still not able to go past 2021. I think information for 2021.
I think personally that ChatGPT has to stop. I think we need to stop feeding it information that's not. I don't even know what can you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at that point, it would be restriction of like information, and even though it might be hazardous for.
We're not talking about the internet here. We're talking about something that's kind of seems to be kind of dangerous a little bit. Like
Yeah.
AI just in general. I don't know if you heard. Some dude he actually generated AI generated video, right,
Yeah.
of child explicit content
No way.
Yeah.
It actually produced it.
and produced it, bro. Child explicit content.
What?
AI generated child explicit content. Um, I didn't click on it because you guys know how we feel about that here. It's disgusting. They actually gave him prison time for that.
Good.
Yeah, but but see, now it comes to the ethic parts that he didn't hurt anybody, but you can say he produced child endangering content, I guess.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
that's insane.
But you get a good
man.
enough lawyer to tell you bring forward the victims. There's no victims. Bring forward the victims to accuse them. There's no victims to
So
accuse them.
they have to create new laws, man.
Yeah,
And regulations. They
Yeah.
probably give access to only those that need access to certain information, right? I guess.
yeah. But then that's the
And
problem.
yeah, that
man.
opens a whole door. It's like limiting people, right, to information.
Yeah, and then who decides who gets to view what information?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
Wow.
it's just kind of every day it becomes more relevant, not more relevant, but more apparent that humans are just not responsible enough to handle this level of technology. They said that we developed technologically quicker than spiritually. I don't know, it sounds kind of cliche, but like you need a level of wisdom to kind of operate these things after a certain time. Had we had wisdom back in 2010, we would have probably fought a little harder against social media. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And preventing our kids from going on it. You
that is
know,
true. Yeah.
I think me and my buddy said this. Social media is this generation's tobacco, where before you could have smoked tobacco, like, but in the 20s and whatever, like nobody really knew the dangers of tobacco until much, much later. And now we're letting all our kids use social media and everything,
Yeah.
not knowing the true dangers. We kind of know the dangers are there, but there hasn't been like any hard body.
Well, there has been a lot of cases of increase of autism, ADHD, all these other syndromes where people they're not able to pay attention, right? Because their attention span is really small. And also they're getting instant gratification as well, right?
Yeah, and to me, that's not even as like the autism and the ADHD stuff. I don't know about the autism stuff, but the ADHD stuff for sure. But the real,
Well, there has been an increase in autism overall.
yeah,
Some people say it's the food. There's so many theories out there.
yeah,
So,
I think it's not a doctor here, but I think people having kids much later in life. One thing, women on birth control pill for the whole time. We don't really know the full effects. People can say they know the full effects,
yeah,
but these women are on birth control pills a lot of the times for years, and then they stop taking it, and then they start having kids, but you don't know the effects how that changed your body. You know what I mean? Like if you drink alcohol all the time, eventually it's gonna affect your liver.
yeah,
Even if you're not drinking it, your liver's still gonna show signs that you've been drinking in the past. And I don't know, we don't know. We really don't know.
yeah. There's definitely case studies out there, but it's not out there, right? People are not like researching and seeing.
Nobody seems to be doing a deep dive
Yeah.
on that.
And so it becomes a problem, right? Like when cancer was happening a lot with people that were smoking, right?
Yeah.
Lung cancer. Then
Yeah,
it
yeah.
became an issue. Then it was like, oh, we can't. It's bad for you to smoke cigarettes and all this stuff. So until it becomes a big
I
problem.
want to circle back to that smoking stuff towards the end of the episode because I do want to talk about something as it relates to that. But going back to the whole technology thing and social media, one of the eye-opening things was the increase of depression during the prevalence of social media, and I think nobody really talks about that. They talk about it, but they don't really care. It's like, hey, your kids are constantly being exposed to something that's damaging their mental health. We should regulate this. And I hate using that word regulation, but the kids, man, the freaking kids, they have access to it. That's the problem. They have access to this type of stuff. And,
Yeah, they're always gonna find ways around it, and I think we're at a point where it's kind of too late because it's part of normal life, right?
it's embedded into
It's
society.
embedded, yeah. So the prior generation and the new generation, they agree with social media. So there's no one actually fighting saying, oh, we think kids shouldn't have access to social media until they're ready for it at a certain age. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And I hope that more and more kids stop using it. Because honestly, man, that stuff is just not good for you. Tinder and all that stuff is good for
yeah.
you.
What you think about the whole metaverse?
Have you?
It's probably gonna go in hand with AI, right?
Yeah. Have you used Oculus Rift before?
Yes, I have.
What you thought?
The early stages of
No,
it. I thought it was pretty good.
I used it last year, I think, and it was
Yeah.
ridiculous, man.
This was when I first tried it. It was probably like 4 years ago.
Dude, so the thing about Oculus Rift, you put it on and it detects your head movements. If you kneel to the ground to like look at something within the 3D world,
Yeah.
you actually kneel down in the VR. You know what I mean? You look around, everything it's nuts, man, and it's in the early iterations. It's in the
Yeah.
early stages.
Like one of I'm pretty sure there's people out there that have used Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
I think that was like one of the first stages of augmented reality. Where you could actually augment certain objects to look like certain things. So
Yeah, no, but I think augmented reality versus virtual reality is
it's
kind
two
of-
different things. Yeah.
Google Glass would have been a version of augmented reality.
Yeah.
Whereas the metaverse mixed with Oculus Rift, that's straight up virtual reality, dude. And you can put something on in virtual reality, and before you know it, you're there. You have a life there. You can go on crazy adventures there for free.
Yeah.
You imagine you and your boys. I don't know what kind of games you're in, but like, let's say you and your boys go on some crazy like RPG adventure. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For hours exploring everything.
So people are not gonna go out to the real world to have an
Barely
adventure,
going
right?
out now. I don't know if you saw like guys are checking out of the dating market, and it's
Yeah.
gonna get crazier, bro. It's gonna get crazier.
Wow. I'm pretty sure they're already looking into creating some sort of virtual reality dating app, right, or
Of
something.
course, bro. And you have a whole life in your virtual
That's gonna
reality.
be crazy, man.
Yeah, dude.
And just know, guys, that we're gonna have the Jcast podcast also in virtual reality.
Execute and optimize, baby.
Yeah,
Execute
man.
and
We're already looking
optimize.
into that. We're already looking into the metaverse, man.
And we're gonna start off with bad mics on purpose.
Oh
But
shit.
speaking of on purpose, you saw what happened with Steven Crowder, dude.
Yeah, man.
That is
Crazy. That
nuts.
video that came out.
Choose to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
There's no groceries today. I do have to make.
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's not a reasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect the man? Yes, other than man, other than man, you see love comes back.
Respect.
No, other than man, no, you're not taking the car.
Stephen,
You're not taking the car.
Stephen,
You are not
then I
taking
will ask someone to pick me up. Would you like me to ask?
Oh, that's right.
It's not respect, Stephen.
Get an Uber.
Okay, Stephen, I can't.
You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're gonna take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either.
What?
I'm even afraid to say, hey, I used to like Steven Crowder, his content, like, but now, you know, like, I didn't know he was a wife abuser. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
And she's pregnant, man. Like,
yeah. For those of you who don't know, Steven Crowder's in a bit of a hot water, I guess you can say, because a video came out of him, can only be described as verbally abusing his 8-month pregnant wife. Pretty black and white in the context of the video, where he's just sitting down on the couch and he's telling her what to do, and then he's like, "You're not doing wifely." And I'm paraphrasing here. You know, go watch the video, guys. See for yourself. But he's out here saying, "Oh, you're not doing wifely things. You're not. Feed the dog and go grocery shopping." And she's like, "I need the car." And he's like, "No, I don't. You're not using the car." Like, a lot of things just don't make sense in that video.
yeah, there's a lot of messed up things. Not only is she pregnant and stuff, he's giving her a hard time.
That's the thing. Yeah, like, I can get you might have issues with your wife, but your kids aren't even born yet. You at least want to like find common ground as much as you can for the sake of the health of the kids. Otherwise, you're putting her through a lot of stress unnecessarily.
Yeah, so now that they're getting divorced, right?
Yeah. She filed for divorce.
Sheesh.
Everybody's coming after Crowder. Candance Owens is actually supposedly, if I'm not mistaken, go watch Candance Owens because I don't want to get sued. But Candance Owens supposedly is engaging her lawyers now for a defamation lawsuit against Steven Crowder.
Oh, wow.
I think Steven Crowder hinted at that she was allegedly extorting him, kind of like hanging, from what I can gather, kind of hanging the secret over his head, like she knew.
Wait, so do they have like a friendship or a relationship?
Well, Steven Crowder and Louder Crowder, they're because they're in the conservative space, the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
They brush shoulders. They roll in the same circles, and I guess they knew that he was getting a divorce because this divorce was happening for 2 years already. It's been in the process. Yeah, it's
Wow.
not just. But the video just came out recently.
So wait, so during that video, they were in the process of getting divorced?
No, I don't think so. I think now they're in the process of getting divorced. That video's a couple of years old, but that's just
Okay.
it's just one of those things. Like, look at all the exciting stuff that goes on in this relationship.
Yeah.
And but basically, he was like, you say you love me, but every time I ask you to do something, you always say, you just, you don't want to, or you just refuse. And then he's like, feed the dog, put on some gloves, feed the dog. And she's like, well, I don't want to, I think it was like if she touches the dog medication, it could be poisonous dangerous to the pregnancy. And he was like, well, put on some gloves and feed the dogs. Put on some gloves. And like, there's just no angle that you look at this makes him look good. The only thing you can kind of think of is maybe their relationship is good, and this is just one of those points in, like, every relationship, you have not so good arguments, and somebody looks not too good. A lot of you guys, you've been in relationships where you've kind of done or said stuff, or somebody's done and said stuff to you they like, who is this person? A little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But even then, man, that's a bit of a stretch because, dude, she was pregnant.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like it was something that's not new in their relationship.
Dude, what's
Based
crazy?
on the way he was like talking to her and the way she was acting. It's not like she acted like, oh my God, like, why are you treating me like this? Like, if it was some new attitude.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, she was like, you're being verbally abusive. That to me seemed like an act. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for the camera. But she was like, you're being verbally abusive. He's like, watch it. It's like, or what, dude? Like,
Yeah, right?
I mean,
He's threatening her.
yeah. Like he's like, watch it, and then like I don't know if you heard, but like supposedly later on in the video, he tells her like, he's like he'll mess her up.
Oh, really? I didn't get to that part. No way.
Yeah. He was like, I think he even admitted it allegedly. You know, we gotta use that word a lot. Like he
Yeah.
even admitted it allegedly that he was like, I will mess you up, or it was more profane than that. It's like, I'll freak you up.
Wow.
Yeah. It's his pregnant
It's his
wife, dude.
pregnant wife, bro. What the
And
hell?
then I like how people were like, they were like pointing out certain other inconsistencies, like, why do they only have one car? Isn't he rich?
Wow.
But then she was like, I'll take an Uber. It's like, you can't do that either.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
Very controlling.
you're coming across as extremely unreasonable. And then she was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll call somebody. Who would you like me to call? And he was like, I guess he took that as a threat or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think? You think something happened in the relationship?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, man. It seems like this is not something new that's been going on in the relationship. And also it seems like, regardless of having maybe cheating happened or something happened, right? Something's been going on that's
Watch
not-
it.
Oh, yeah, allegedly, right? Whatever was going wrong in the relationship prior to that, like we have to like take into consideration, like, bro, she's pregnant, man. Like,
That's what gets me too, right? Because it's like you can have issues with your wife. I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and sometimes you don't like your partner. You're not gonna you love your partner. Like love is the foundation of a relationship, right? And everything else is built on top of that. Trust, whatever other emotions, even like sometimes you just don't like your partner like a day, like, oh, I don't like you right now, leave me alone type of deal.
Yeah.
But when you threaten physical abuse on your partner, let alone your pregnant partner,
yeah, with your child,
with your child,
with your child, yeah,
right? You start getting weird looks, and rightfully so,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because I think some people believed that the way Steven Crowder acted on camera could be it's a bit of an act. You know what I mean? It's exactly the same, and sad to say, man, it's not looking too good for Steven Crowder right now.
yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, one of his boys
Has he said anything? Has he?
I think he said something about coming out with some details and exposing some other stuff. It's a divorce, man. I don't understand why it needs to get this public. Not everybody's involved type of
Yeah,
divorce.
I think it's gotten to the point now that they released this video. It's like he's probably trying to
And-
spin it a different way,
And for his wife too, I don't. Obviously, it's messed up that what they did with Steven. But why did you feel the need to release that video? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I don't get. Oh, you know what? Unless my timelines are incorrect, I think Steven Crowder actually he came out and he said he's divorcing her.
Okay.
Or not that he's going through a divorce, and then he came out and said that he takes responsibility and that when it came time, paraphrasing here, when it came time to choosing a partner, he chose wrong.
Ooh.
And so, if my timelines are correct, I think the video came out shortly afterwards. Like,
Okay.
oh, you chose wrong? Boom, here it is.
Got it. Yeah. So she was probably trying to, show the audience or show, the people that watch that video, like, hey, it's
It's not that he chose wrong; it's
Yeah,
that he was verbally abusive, and
Yeah.
I just was not able to deal with it anymore. But I don't know, man. And one of his friends came out talking about how Steven Crowder was I don't want to say verbally abused. I feel like I've been throwing that word around. It's something Landau. I think one of his friends that was a regular on the show, he came out. And he was kind of like airing out some dirty laundry from the Louder or Crowder show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And not to mention, not to harp on this for too much, but I don't know if you know, but Steven Crowder was offered a deal by the Daily Wire.
Yeah, I heard about
It's
that.
like 50 mil with like 12.5 mil every year or something like that. And Steven Crowder felt disrespected at the deal. He felt like he was taken advantage of. And then like he recorded a conversation with like supposed friends, professional
Yeah.
friends, like, not Ben Shapiro, but the other guy. I forgot his name, who owns the Daily Wire, and he aired out the conversation that they had and the contracts and all that stuff. It's like,
What was the conversation they had?
no, it was like, yeah, you'll do this and you'll do this. Yeah, you might, you'll work on this for a few years, but hey, look, man, just pay, and I guess basically paying your dues. And I guess
Yeah.
Steven Crowder was like, so wait, if I get demonetized from YouTube, you guys won't pay me? That's not fair. It was like, well, they invested money in you to make money. You don't want to be operating at a loss. So people were already looking at Steven Crowder a little funny style with that. Shout out to Pat Beck David. He actually had Steven Crowder on the show a couple of months ago to kind of like openly talk about that.
Yeah. So that deal's off the table, right?
Would you make a deal with somebody who did that?
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I hope Hillary, which is Steven Crowder's wife, name ironically,
Wow.
I hope she's okay, man. I really hope that they stop airing out these things. And if they keep airing it out, we're gonna keep giving you content on it. You know what I'm talking about? Respectfully. But I just don't like when divorces like this happen and everybody has to know about it and everybody has to air out everybody's dirty laundry. Like, I feel like that's so unnecessary, man. That's so unnecessary.
Yeah, they should have just kept it private.
That divorce already looked like it was messy, and now it's just gotten even messier.
Yeah.
Not as messy as as these revelations coming out regarding the jabs.
Yeah, the jabs, man.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna name this episode, bro. Jab, jab, hook.
Jab, jab, hook. Sheesh.
Yeah.
It's been how long now that the jab came out? Like 3 years now? Or
Yeah, it came out 2021.
2021?
I want
Wow.
to say, because 2019 things were heating up, like late 2019. Then 2020 things was at a
Yeah,
turning
it was
point.
like the race to create the jab, right?
Right. And then they created it by March of 2021.
Wow.
Started poking people up.
It's crazy, right? To create something so fast and, implement it on humans.
Dude, you know what? We're going to talk about it. Freaking. I don't know if you heard, but a lot of, it's Justin Trudeau, who's the Prime Minister of Canada. Sky News, I'm going to see if I can get the link, and we're going to put it we're going to clip this part, and we're going to put it in the description. Sky News actually had a montage. Well, first off, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, came out saying, well, I paraphrasing and allegedly, we didn't force anybody to take the vaccine. We didn't threaten anybody. Everybody was free to decide whether to take the vaccine or not, right? He's coming out now saying that. Well, Sky News did a montage of him saying, if you don't take the vaccine, you won't get access to public this, public that, public this, public that. We're gonna come after you here. We're gonna come after you here. Well, that sounds like coercion to me. What do you think?
No, definitely, man. And it only didn't happen in Canada. I mean, it happened all over the world.
Bro, everybody, and the crazy thing is a lot of people followed America's lead.
Yeah.
So what America did, everybody else did. The issue is that the issue of the jab became so politicized. You know what I mean? Of the disease, it became so politicized that one side of the aisle waited to see what the other side of the aisle was going to do, to then do the opposite.
Was there any country that was against the jab?
Not that they were against the jab, but that they didn't.
Or gave you a choice?
Sweden, I believe.
Also, they were pro-choice?
They were the real pro-choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I hope this doesn't get flagged, but whatever. Fauci came out and said, like, I didn't force anybody to shut down factories. I didn't force anybody to close down schools. And it's like, dude, you might not have overtly said it, but if I tell you, yeah, you might want to take action to prevent this from spreading, hint, hint. You know what I mean? What are they going to say to that? And I think as more people are coming out now questioning the jab, a lot of people are now kind of trying to clean their hands off and start pointing fingers. Eventually, here's what's going to happen. Here's what I think is going to happen. You heard it here first. They're going to wait some time when the side effects of the jab become determined to be for sure that there's side effects and that there have been side effects. What they're going to say is, well, it wasn't the jab. It was a long-term disease, the long-term disease, effects of the disease.
Oh, the after effects of the jab disease?
Of the disease of C19. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're gonna wait for it because you know what it is. The longer you wait to address this, the more the waters get muddied and the harder it is for you to retrace your steps. So the big pharmas can just easily say, it's long. We did the studies. It was a long C1. Long C19, and The Hill, the TV show The Hill. I'm annoyed by those guys. I really am, because a couple of years ago we were all talking about, hey, we're worried about the side effects. Hey, this thing came out really quickly. Hey, is it okay for us to be skeptical? Not okay, but like, we're skeptical about this thing that you just developed. It's untested, and you don't have any track record of how, because if you tell somebody, oh, take the flu shot, well, you have decades, maybe I think decades of
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's decades.
of trial and stuff like that, and you can see the effects. But this one, there was none of that, and you were made to seem like you were crazy, right wing extremist if you question an experimental drug. I'm sorry, but that's what it was. It was an experimental drug that nobody had long term studies for. That you had, that they coerced you to put it in your body. Eventually, these guys come out and say, "We didn't force you to do anything." Well, if you threaten me to not be employed and not have access to certain things in society, what would you call that? Coercion? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Faux choice? You know?
Yeah.
And The Hill, they're actually talking about it now, and oh, could there have been some side effects? And I'm just thinking to myself, what a bunch of brave journalists talking about a controversial subject after it's safe to talk about the subject. Somebody was like, well, Kim Iverson talked about it on The Hill. Well, guess what? Kim Iverson is not on The Hill anymore, is she? And why is that? Because when Dr. Fauci went to interview for The Hill about a year and a half ago, Kim Iverson wanted to interview him because she was going to ask him the hard-hitting questions. The Hill said no. The Hill said no, and Kim Iverson, shout out to Kim Iverson, she had a huge amount of integrity. She's like, yo, I have people who like what I do and respect what I do because of how I do it. If I'm not able to question Dr. Fauci, I can't work for you guys anymore. And she left.
Wow.
Right? And she left. So, she was talking about it way before The Hill. Now The Hill is talking about it now that it's safe. It's annoying. It's annoying to me that now that it's safe to talk about it, everybody wants to talk about it. And guys, I'm sorry, Jay, I feel like I'm hijacking the show. I'm rambling on here.
Yeah.
But I want you guys, and we want you guys to remember how you were treated for simply asking questions. Something came out, and they said, hey, you got to take this. And if you said, you guys developed that relatively quickly, I'm healthy, I'm young, I think I'd weather this, I'll be fine. And they called you a right-wing extremist, Trump supporter, anti-jabber, despite the fact that you got all your other medications. You know what I mean? People were so scared that they weren't thinking straight. The part that allowed them for critical thinking somehow was turned off to such a degree that they didn't even hear when you told them, no, I took all my other medications. I'm only skeptical about this one. No, I already had the disease. It was annoying for a little bit, but I'm okay now. I'm still running. No, I'm fine. I'm safe. If you are high risk, take the jab. They didn't listen to any of that stuff. Once you say you're skeptical of the jab, it was like in the movie They Live. Remember that movie They Live?
Yeah.
Where the guy puts the glasses on, and only in this case is the guy doesn't take the jab, and he's able to see like.
Yeah. But also another thing is that those that took the jab, you still got the disease. So it's like
That's the crazy, and that to me that is nuts. Where it's like, and we're probably beating a dead horse already here, but it's like, yo, how many times have you gotten polio or rubella?
I would have been dead, man. I got my my vaccines,
And it
man.
worked.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, it worked. So and it's funny, and I don't mind. My problem is not that it didn't work the way they said it would, because I understand that in the game of science, I understand that, but people like Neil deGrasse Tyson don't remember that. Other so-called scientists forgot. In the game of science, you say, and Neil deGrasse Tyson seemed like a little bit like he was kind of coming around to it. He says, look, and I'm paraphrasing here, here's the data that we have so far, okay? With the data that we have so far, here's what we recommend. To me, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Word of the day, Jay, pomposity. The pomposity in which these new newscasters and scientists or up and coming scientists, the pomposity in which they were saying, they were so sure. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna this medication is gonna stop the disease from transmitting, and it didn't. It did not. Now all of a sudden it's like we never said that, or whatever the case is. This just causing me to look at people funny style now, because obviously how they treated you for just asking questions. Like you said, how safe and effective is this? And they looked at you like if you said the earth was flat.
Yeah.
You know? What do you think?
Do you see this happening in the future? Or?
Yeah, it will happen in the future. It's gonna. I don't know. I don't know how people are gonna react. I don't know if people are gonna have such short memory that they're gonna once again listen to the news. You know what I mean? But and another bombshell came out with the Hill. They actually said Pfizer was out here lobbying people who were pushing for vaccine mandates.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find the link, and I'm gonna allegedly.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the link in the description of the page, so you guys can check it out yourself. But supposedly, Pfizer was out here lobbying places that would push vaccine mandates. So I don't know, man. What do you think? Suspicious?
Yeah, man. I think what's gonna end up happening, hopefully, is that I hope that there's gonna be like a reset or something.
Let's see, man. I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because not only that, I mean, I don't want to move away from the whole like jab thing, but now it's getting to the point of the information. What was that thing called?
Misinformation?
No, not the misinformation. They were gonna pass this this bill.
For the TikTok bill?
No, it was the
To prevent users from using TikTok, but instead it had like VPN.
VPN and
restrictions.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot what the bill was.
Yeah, but that bill, so it's not only affecting our health, but it's also affecting just our functionality in daily life, man. Like, not only they're gonna control like what we input in our body, but what we do as well. So
yeah,
what we're allowed to do.
That's the idea, and if the crazy thing is, before we used to have common ground. We used to be like, I don't like you and you don't like me, but we can all agree on these fundamental rights. Seems like we don't even have that anymore. If your team is doing something that is wrong, most people are okay with it because it's their team.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're not against the jab. We're not for the jab. We're against questioning. We're against not being allowed to question.
Yeah, and also having the choice to be able to not want to take the jab.
But the thing is, and that's another thing too, like supposedly if you took the jab, you were protected against the disease.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
So if you took the jab, why do you care if somebody took the jab or not? You're supposedly protected from it. And they're like, well, everybody has to take it for everybody to be protected against it. I'm like, I'm not sure I follow that. What happens if only one person takes it? Why, they're not protected? And I heard somebody said, well, the disease jumps from people to people and it mutates.
Yeah, mutates. It's another thing.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of different jabs that were created, man.
Oh, hey, you gotta get paid, baby.
Different boosters and
gotta get paid, baby. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you gotta get paid, especially the
Big Pharma.
Big Pharma. Not only that, the people that were actually getting other diseases, they were being listed or labeled as,
That's a crazy thing to me.
As that disease. Died by that disease.
I don't know how people like. I feel like either they nobody was doing real journalism. That's another thing too, because if real journalists,
what were the journalists doing? Were they covering Trump Trump wasn't even the president.
They were being propaganda armed for Big Pharma and for the politicians who were lobbied against Big Pharma. So the journalists, instead of saying, okay, well, this is happening. Hey, that's weird. Heart attacks have decreased this year substantially. Or heart attack, people who've passed away from heart attacks have decreased this year substantially. Oh, flu, people who've passed away by the flu, that's decreased substantially. Yeah. Wow, is the disease somehow having a side effect of curing these things? Is the jab having a side effect of curing these things? What's going on here? If anybody just did, and that's what gets me mad about the Hill too. They want to come out and start breaking news. Like, no, bro, you guys had your chance. You know what I mean? To show us that you had some integrity, and you didn't do it. And I'm not even blaming the anchors of those shows, because I'm sure they get orders. Scripted, yeah. Well, it's like nobody was pointing this out. You know what I mean? Nobody was suspicious about this. Nobody. Some of the doctors that were coming out and they were saying, "Hey, this person passed away from, lung disease." But
The reason of death was always that disease.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, they messed up with statistics, man. And also, like they say, follow the money, man. People were getting funding for that.
to me, that's not like you spend your whole. And this is for the specific people who they spend their whole lives, saying that these people lobby the government and we shouldn't trust big businesses. Big businesses are the enemy. They've been saying that for years and years and years. And somehow they were brainwashed immediately to just fall in line with the recommendations that big businesses were giving to the government that they lobby.
Yeah.
Like the critical thinking switch in their head just went off. And it's like, nobody, look, if somebody was to tell me I'm against, big pharma and I'm not taking the jab, I'm like, oh, that's in line with what you've always believed in. You know what I mean? Whether you healthy or not, you're intellectually consistent on this specific argument. Somebody says, I'm against big business and I don't trust big business, and all they do is just make stuff for profit. Well, then, come on, what's the next thing? Well, what? What's the next thing? What? Well, then could it be possible that this jab that they've developed for profit might not have been tested thoroughly, and they, like most big businesses, cut corners for profit? They're like, oh, you're a Trump supporter. You're like, dude, what? You were just agreeing with me. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's crazy, man. And I think this is one of the reasons why the rest of the world's like, oh, America doesn't kind of doesn't seem to know what they're doing anymore. We don't even know we want to be too friendly with them, and so China's stepping in there, taking advantage and doing they're building their empire brick by brick.
Yep, brick by brick, man. And there's other nations that want to join that brick by brick.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt bullied by America.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're the world reserve currency. Therefore, what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna just impose our will to the rest of the world. And it's like, if you're the world reserve currency and you're able to impose your will on the rest of the world, there's a chance to unite the world in a way that people have only dreamt of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And instead, they chose to take advantage of other countries. They chose to take advantage of other nations, and they chose to throw their weight around. I love America, but obviously it's not without its criticisms on the international stage.
So do you see other countries like not only 19 other countries, but like countries like our allies joining in?
I think so. I think France, bro.
Oh my god.
I think if any European country will join in first, I think it's going to be France. France is already kind of beating their chest and making some noise.
Because of the whole increasing the retirement age, right?
Well, no, well, that too, but I think Macron is already saying, like, hey, look, we're not vassal states. We're our own country too, man.
Yeah.
And so now, he's like, probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they're talking to China low key, man. Kind of making low key deals.
Scheming.
Yeah.
Scheming, man.
Yeah, man. Somehow Brexit doesn't look too bad now, because think about Brexit. They're their own country now.
Yeah.
They're not part of the EU. They're not. And by the way, I know it didn't have the greatest effects that we thought it was gonna have, but I was pro Brexit.
Yeah, same here. I think that wasn't Britain paying for the majority.
So money wise they were, but then they were getting benefits. This is what my buddy told me, and it made sense. That they were getting benefits from the other side type of deal. Like, okay, if you're paying 35%, GDP. I'm throwing those numbers out. It was a high number, but it wasn't 35%. Yeah. But you're getting, let's say, cheap this and cheap that and cheap this and cheap this and cheap that, and so they were benefiting a lot from that. Now they don't get any of that, but they're not paying any of that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not paying a high percentage, but let's see what happens now, because they're having issues, I think, with their NIH and stuff. Like, it's a bit of a mess. Wow. But I'm kind of glad they left. You have to understand some people, like, really quickly on the topic of Brexit. You're your own country, but somehow you're taking orders from another country on some of your international policies. So it's kind of weird. A lot of people didn't like that. So people felt their identity was being threatened. But going back to the BRICS thing, look, man, seems like people aren't too concerned about this, but I'm a little concerned, because even if they might not be stable, if one European country decides to join, and then maybe the rest might follow, man.
Yeah. Not only that, I know countries like Argentina, their inflation went up 100%, and they're telling
100, baby.
yeah they're telling Argentina to hedge their currency using Bitcoin, but who do you think is going to be the savior to like countries like Argentina that are failing?
I think China for sure. I think China has a. If I was Chinese people, this is a great opportunity for us to be like, yo, we already got Brazil on board. Let's get Argentina on board. Let's use them. No offense to my Argentinian friends, but let's use them as an experiment for them to be full BRIC currency. See what happens,
Yeah,
and let's go from there.
that might make other Latin American countries like
Yeah.
jump on as well.
Yeah, Brazil is, and if they're showing some industrial progress, and they seem like they're doing good, bro. Could be it, man.
Man.
I'm concerned. I'm really
I
concerned
think
about
Mexico also was part of the 19 countries that
that.
wants
Yeah,
to join.
Mexico. Yeah, I'm like Mexico
Bro,
for real, bro.
yeah.
We're just saying that you the ones, bro. Like we were just saying you the ones we should send
Yeah.
manufacturing to. So Mexico wants to join. I think it's also it's kind of like the leadership that it seems like it's a mess right now at the White House.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's time for new leadership, man.
It is time for new leadership, and I look forward to the Russian collusion, new controversies surrounding Ron DeSantis. You know what I
Jeez,
mean?
man, yeah. They're gonna come up with something new.
They always do, man. They always do.
You know what's crazy? Do they ever target the Democratic Party? Do they ever try to like look for some dirt?
It doesn't matter. You know why? Because the only people to report on said dirt will be the journalists, and we already know most journalists are nothing more than propaganda arm for the government, the Democratic government for the most part. Remember the Hunter Biden laptop?
Yeah,
That was huge.
Everyone forgot about that laptop.
They didn't
man.
forget about it. They conveniently stifled the story during election time and let it come back out after Biden won the election.
Yeah, kind of like the Epstein story too.
That's nuts, bro.
Yeah,
Alex Jones was one of the first people to talk about that, but
it's crazy, man. Like so many like big events, and they somehow have the power to like hide it under the rug.
What
like,
bothers me is that, and I'm gonna close out with this. I used to think that people just didn't care, and so they kind of like brush these stories off. But having watched how energized people were relating to the jab and C19, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
and how energetic and how empowered they felt to tell people that you should not have a job if you don't get this disease preventing medication. Like they cared, like they showed, like in their fear, they showed energy for that.
Yeah.
It's not that people don't care, it's that the media now is so good at manipulating people that it can even get them to get energized over causes.
wow. So they control like
They
what we
control
care
their
about.
emotions.
That is insane.
Before I used to be like, oh, people just don't care anymore. Oh, people just don't care. It's not that they don't care, it's that they're told when to care. And then when they're told to care, they're fed images maybe and stories and skewed statistics to get them emotional enough to take action.
That's crazy, man. Because if you're able to manipulate that emotion of caring, then you could basically influence any
Yes,
agenda, right?
yes,
You could
yes.
pass anything.
You can take. I think you have a docile population that you can energize whenever you need to do what we call like social policing, where it's like your own friends don't want to hang out with you anymore because you refuse to go along with one thing or the other. And so looking at like I remember looking at some of the people that I knew and they're like, bro, so you think people should not feed their families for not taking something that they're for being reluctant to take something that hasn't even been fully tested?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah. I'm like, bro, what? You're supposed to be a compassionate person. What's this? So
Yeah. They just spun the story around, man. They made it seem like they were like evil in some way.
Yeah,
It didn't
yeah.
go along with the agenda of the government. But
yep. So yeah, I used to think the population was docile. It's not docile. It's powered off and then powered on when it's time to get them to care about something that the media wants, like Ukraine. You think these people even care too much about Ukraine? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The government started saying,
The government cares, right? Didn't they recently approve?
well, yeah, 1.5 billion additional dollars to Ukraine. It's like, wow, guys, you're being real liberal with these things. And it's like, Ukraine's not even part of NATO or the EU.
Yeah.
I don't know about the EU.
Well, they were trying to join the EU, right?
They were trying to
sorry,
join
they're
NATO.
Join NATO, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, they're not part of the EU. They're
Yeah,
not.
so like, what's the, like, why did Boris Johnson fly out to the Ukraine, I think last year, and prevent a ceasefire talk between Zelensky and Putin. Why?
I don't know,
Why
man.
are
It's
we
just
talking? Why are we bringing in ceasefires about this? Why
yeah,
we instead of us talking about ceasefiring, we'd rather just send weapons and money and just waste resources. Why? You know, and then some people are kind of waking up to it. It seems
and another thing, like, do we know what's going on over there? Like, who's winning the
we don't.
war?
We don't.
What's going on?
All we can tell you is all we know is what the media tells us, bro.
Yeah,
You know.
it's been a while now, right? It's been over a year.
Yeah. All we know is what the media tells us. I'm hearing stories unsubstantiated, but some of the weapons aren't even getting to the front lines. They're being sold on the black market or whatever
Wow.
to be used against American soldiers in the next, war, I guess.
That's insane, man. It's
Yeah,
probably a whole bunch of stuff going on over there.
It's part. It's all a big part of the like I always say, the shadow government ran by humans from the breakaway civilization and their extraterrestrial benefactors. I believe that
Yeah.
those are happening. The government's been hollowed out. Our economy's somewhat been hollowed out. We still siphon, by we, I mean them, they, the shadow government, still siphon money from the economy. The people at the bottom of this breakaway civilization, they don't know they're part of this. They work towards it. They still think the money's worth something, so they can exchange their mental capital, like these smart, intelligent, scientific mathematicians, to continue to invent weapons in exchange for paper that's essentially worthless.
Yeah.
It's worthless to the shadow government of the breakaway civilization, but it's still worth something to the people all the way at the bottom of this breakaway civilization. And so they continue to develop things and use their mental capital and resources to continue to fund the black machine, or the breakaway civilization machine.
Damn. You think this breakaway civilization has always existed throughout
Yeah.
different civilizations?
Yeah. I think the first one that I personally know of, or the one that was interesting to me, was the Germany one in the 1930s. They were starting some secret breakaway civilization stuff, and then after that, Russia and the United States both took in these former German scientists from that regime.
Do you think prior to that, was there any breakout civilization?
Supposedly, well, I don't know about the breakaway civilization if there was that, but there was, I think, some contact between our leaders and them, the other people, the other beings.
Yeah.
Whichever was the most powerful country had contact with these beings. Germany, the United States, Russia, those people. So that's it for the podcast. I mean, you got anything else to say?
No, man, just stay tuned for more. As you can see, our audio is better.
Oh
We're just gonna continue to get better and better, man, and grow.
yeah, 100%. All right, guys. Well, take care, man.
See you.
Peace.